Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Come to me. 3 simple words. 3 simple words which express a truth that takes us a lifetime to understand and accept. 3 simple words which carry all of the theology and all of the doctrine that the finest minds have taken 20 centuries to unpack. 3 simple words without which all of that theology and all of that doctrine is actually worthless wrapping paper around an empty space holding an even emptier promise. For these 3 simple words are an invitation to a relationship with Jesus. And in this they embody the greatest concept of Christianity, that at its very core, Christianity is first, foremost and always a relationship with Jesus. It's as simple as that. It really is. When Jesus says, "Come to me," it's not a call to embrace a system of religion or a set of doctrines. When he says, "Come to me," it's not an invitation to do church or follow a charismatic big-name pastor. Still less is it an invitation to accrue status, prosperity or power. Belonging to Jesus precedes our believing, doing or building anything. When Jesus says, "Come to me," it's an invitation to a relationship built upon prayer, because prayer is being close with Jesus. When Jesus says, "Come to me," he is expressing so simply and so clearly the purpose at the heart of the incarnation. God wants to be in a relationship with us, and in Jesus he invites us to do this face to face. It's really that simple. Accepting his invitation is to step into new life. Without this relationship, Christian faith is truly nothing but empty religion jazzed up with good intentions. Without this relationship with Jesus, Christian faith is hopelessly bogus, a spiritual carapace, devoid of power, concealing an emptiness within that will not go away. So "come to me" is an imperative which expresses all the compassion that Jesus has for our hurting world. It's a demonstration of his empathy, intimacy and openness. It's a declaration of divine solidarity flowing from the yearning heart of God's grace. Responding to Jesus when he says, "Come to me," is the place where Christian faith begins, because Jesus reaches out to each one of us, and he never stops doing so. He's doing it right now, and he does it without exception. Come to me, all. Now, who would think that one word could make so much difference? Yet that word, all, does. The offer of new life in Jesus is universal, for everybody, for all time, with no exceptions. That little word "all" is breathtaking, subversive, radical, revolutionary, astounding, incredible, and wonderful in equal measure. It freights the entirety of God's boundless grace right into the human heart. It is the mind-blowing and shame-busting convincer that this invitation is meant for even such as me. Now, the 4 alls of the Methodist Church take this to heart with focus and gusto. All people need to be saved. All people can be saved. All people can know that they are saved. And all people can be saved to the uttermost. So "come to me, all" is the divine purpose that shapes church. It is a non-bounded statement of intent by Jesus. Church is how we express this intention, so that everyone around us in society can experience this awesome relationship for themselves. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." The people Jesus sees around him are weary because they are burdened. They're burdened by Roman imperialist oppression, burdened by persecution, burdened by crushing poverty, burdened by disease and illness, burdened by a religion that so often seems designed to exclude them, burdened by the unfair and unjust socio-economic reality that for them there is no hope of levelling up. There never has been, and there never will be. And they're burdened by what it is to be human. The people Jesus sees around him look just like you and me, because we recognise many of these ancient burdens in their contemporary expression today. For we too are burdened and weary, not least by lockdown. We are likewise only too mindful of all that bears down upon us, everything that crushes the life out of our humanity. In looking for an image to express this, I discovered some photos online of the memorial to the persecuted in Kamano, Slovakia. It brilliantly captures this sense of weariness and burden of which Jesus speaks. So let's take some time to find ourselves in the sculpture. And in a world where racism, economic injustice, virulent nationalism, economic and sexual exploitation, political corruption and state-sponsored violence are rife, this memorial to the persecuted is chillingly apposite. It's a ghastly reminder of those who always suffer, for it bears eloquent testimony to the appalling burdens placed onto ordinary people the world over. This is the human predicament, and to all who are weary and burdened, Jesus promises rest. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. This is the precious promise at the heart of all our prayers. It is an invitation to lay down the emotional and psychological baggage that we all carry too. These are the inner burdens which so weary us, the baggage we've lugged around for as long as we can remember, the burdens that never seem to leave us, but which we long to be rid of. There, in a suitcase labelled shame and guilt, we carry that most intimate and private deadweight of all. And Jesus looks at us so lovingly and simply says again and again and again, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And St. Augustine, the Algerian who converted to Christianity aged 31 and became Bishop of Hippo, a maritime city which is now modern-day Annaba in Algeria, writing his Confessions at the end of the 4th century, brilliantly and famously gets to the heart of this promise. He says, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you." God, our Creator, has made us to be in relationship with God, and Jesus offers us the only way to fully enter into the fullness of all this relationship promises. Without this relationship, it is as though we are unceasingly restless, because we're always searching to fill a void within us. A piece of the jigsaw of our being, of who we are, is missing, and we struggle to find it and feel uneasily lost and restless without it. When I first went to church as a 19-year-old student, it was precisely like this for me. It felt as though I had found a piece of the jigsaw that had been missing. Yet how many of us keep on trying to fill that emptiness with things that actually have no prospect of ever satisfying our yearning? Consumer capitalism is based on this very fallacy. We keep on trying to put the wrong piece in the wrong place, but that restlessness within stays stubbornly unfulfilled. You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you. Jesus offers us a relationship, the only relationship that can possibly fulfill this need, fill that void, and enable us to feel whole. Our lives and his are made to fit together. So when Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest," he offers us the precious piece of the jigsaw for which we have been searching. And he keeps on offering it to us, time and time again, whenever the void of our longing and hurting opens up. He invites us to take the promise of prayer in our hands and place it where our need and the need of others is greatest. And it is guaranteed to fit, because it is tailor-made by God for us. And church is the place where we join together as one in Jesus, each of us having our own distinctive yet familiarly shaped relationship with him. This is what binds us together. We are one in him. And notice how, by definition, there is always space for others to fit in. By their very nature, the relational pieces are shaped to welcome others. Our being in relationship with Jesus is designed to enable others to become attached to him too. So evangelism should be the most natural process in the world. Jesus then goes on to say this, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Now, this is one of those precious moments in the gospel where Jesus actually describes himself. He is gentle and humble in heart. How many people, I wonder, would describe God like that? Yet here is our proof. Jesus, the human face of God, is gentle and humble in heart. And it is from that place of absolute strength and total vulnerability that he invites us to come to him. As the New Testament understands so well, such love casts out fear. And we need not be fearful of the demands that being in relationship with Jesus necessarily brings either. The whole point is that we shall find rest for our souls, not exchange one torment for another. In this, Jesus is quite clear. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. And that word easy carries the connotation of being made to measure. The yoke is light precisely because it is made uniquely for us. And it is light precisely because Jesus shares the burden too. We are yoked to him. He takes the strain. He shoulders the load. He carries what we cannot bear. We are no longer on our own, bereft, left to our own devices. When Jesus says, "Come to me," all of that changes forever. We are no longer alone. Through being in relationship to Jesus, we discover that Jesus himself describes the pearl of great price, and it's that relationship with him. Through the promise of prayer, we find that peace which the world cannot give. And that is something that Donald Trump can't selfishly buy up and hoard to the exclusion of the rest of the world. It can't be commodified by the wealthiest 1% of the world's population to the detriment of the 99%. It can't be denied to the poorest by world trade deals that are unfair, biased and rigged. It can't be cynically withheld from those whom we despise. Richard Desmond, take note. Jesus, gentle and humble, crucified and risen Christ, is the great leveller whose love is the most precious gift anyone can ever accept. And by being bound to him, strengthened by him, and made whole in him, we join God's radical and revolutionary movement. United in Jesus and in the power of the cross, we are God's chosen means to transform the world through love, that our common humanity together will truly bear the likeness of God. This is the promise of prayer that embraces the whole world. For you have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you. Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. May prayer bless you with that greatest truth of all. Go well and go gently, everyone.